Hey, property management friends. Welcome to This Week in Property Management. I'm your host, Jeremy Pound from RentScale. I've got Jennifer Merritt here, COO of RentScale, to share how the fastest growing property managers are forecasting quarterly goals and managing their sales departments. But while everybody logs on, let's review a quick highlight from a previous episode. New York City is actually considering offering, this was a proposal floated last year. Again, it hasn't happened yet, but they're considering offering $125 a night of room and board to any resident who will house an immigrant. When you think about our business as property managers, every tenant needs to be authorized. They need to be screened. There's application fees. What happens if the city makes it illegal for you to not allow your rented tenants to take illegal immigrants or legal immigrants, doesn't matter, and basically say, look, this is a protected class. You can't screen them. You just have to let them in. So it's easy to think about what that looks like in New York City. It's really hard to think about what that might look like in a smaller community where you're in an HOA and people have to be screened to even move into the house. Not only by you as a property manager, but by the association. So be sure that you're subscribed to us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or X, so you can watch these industry episodes live and be the first to hear what's trending and actually ask questions and participate in the live show. All right, so normally I go over some industry news, but the industry news that I want to talk about today is actually the segment that I want to cover, which is This Week in Social Media. All right, let's get to the main segment and talk about this. But first, we've been talking a lot about bigger pockets. I don't know if you guys are if you guys have heard about this and you've been seeing what's going on, but Bigger Pockets has launched an amazing new tool called the Property Management Finder. The Property Management Finder is just like the Real Estate Agent Finder if you've used that before. So a lot of our clients have grown their business by finding agents from Bigger Pockets. When people want to reach out to an investor-friendly agent, they've been going to Bigger Pockets and they've been finding a real estate agent and they basically get connected with you. Well, the time has finally come that Bigger Pockets has realized that they also need to launch a property manager finder. And so they went live on May 1st. It's only been live around 16 days. We actually got early access to this. Bigger Pockets knew that the fastest growing, most aggressive property managers were RentScale clients. So we got together, we talked about it. We actually had an amazing webinar and we launched this and we've gotten so many of our clients on there. Now it is limited per market. And I do know from my insider information that they've already basically sold out and locked out certain markets. I know that Phoenix is one of those markets. I think it's San Diego. There's a few others, but this is an amazing tool. And so we basically created I'm just going to share my screen here. We created kind of an overview for our clients and we put this on social media. And so we put this on the RentScale page. If you're curious what this is, we've got Reese here. He's got the total talking head picture. He's walking through what we're doing and like how the tool works. So basically you come in here, you talk about what kind of property you're looking for. You put in, 1 to 2 doors, 2 to 4 doors, whatever it is. And it's basically going to match you with somebody. What's really cool about this is it's actually going to not just do like an all property management or an anonymous lead flow. It's actually going to show you the companies that Bigger Pockets is recommending, based on their relationship with you. And you're able to see the differentiation, the unique selling proposition. You're able to get, the reviews and actually see, okay, is this a 4-star company, a 5-star company? And you're basically going to get paired with the leads. So the reason I'm bringing this up is this just seemed like a no-brainer. I know it's a new tool. The more I think about it, the more I just realize that our potential clients are finding information online. I mean, it is 2024. We are in an information-rich environment where people are out there Googling answers to things that they're doing, and they're looking for recommendations for things. And so why would you not want to be found on this solution? So I put this out there and I shared it from the RentScale page to my personal Facebook page. And we got some good debate here. So there was 40 comments. And I was actually, really kind of surprised to see how many people don't feel like Bigger Pockets is really treating property managers the right way. So a lot of comments here. Yes, Bigger Pockets teaches people how to self-manage, and they want to provide information and create alternatives to self-managing. But overall, I've been hearing from them and I've been meeting with them. We met with them in Amelia Island at Broker Owner. These guys really want their listeners to learn about professional property managers like you. And they're really going to be going out of their way to start to create a new narrative around what they can do for introducing really professional property management to their clients. What was really interesting to me, if you check out this post, is how many people felt like that Bigger Pockets was basically, not representing professional property managers in the right way. And I think that, discussions with them and hearing what they're doing, you're going to see a big change in that. So there's a lot of conversation around this. I think that this is an amazing new opportunity. If you want to know more about it, reach out to Bigger Pockets or reach out to us and we'll put you in touch with somebody, because I think that this is just an obvious land grab because they are going to limit it per market. And so you want to make sure that you're involved sooner rather than later, and you're going to get grandfathered in if you sign up now. So if you don't know about this, please reach out to them, reach out to us. We'll be happy to share that with them. But I did think that was really interesting. I'd love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts? Do you think Bigger Pockets is an ally for us as professional property managers? Is it an adversarial relationship? I was actually really surprised to see some of the comments that I got on that post and that I heard from our clients. So I'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you're thinking. All right, so we've got Jen here. Let's get to the main segment for today. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Hi there. Did you know that RentScale hosts one of the largest communities of property management sales professionals in North America? Well, my name is Reese Register, and I'm actually a previous BDM and currently a scale coach here at RentScale. We provide over 20 hours monthly of teaching and training and accountability to make sure that our BDMs are supercharging their sales business through inbound, outbound, and allbound. So if you're interested in learning more about supercharging your business, go over to rentscale.com. We'll be glad to schedule a consult and see how we can help you transform your business today.
All right, I'm excited to bring our guest on, but just a little bit of a setup. Every month we share our monthly business development scoreboard. We're going to put it up on the screen now. Now, you may be wondering about this number that we kind of briefly go over in the bottom left-hand corner every single month. And I really want to focus on this today and show you why we gave so much real estate on the scoreboard for this. So there was a highly cited study from the American Society of Training and Development from a few years back that studied how and why people accomplish their goals. Sadly, the results was, on average, people are only about 10% likely to meet their stated goals, right? We all know what happens when we set New Year's resolutions. I think that's a really tangible example of that. But they found in the same study that they publicly committed to their goals to someone or to a group of people. They were 65% likely to accomplish those goals. Now, what was really great is that their chances of success increased to 95%, which is almost guaranteed, when they build in ongoing meetings with their accountability partners on a regular basis. So having weekly accountability meetings can increase the likelihood of any goal being accomplished by about 85%. That's the leverage we want you to have over your sales goals. But the truth is, when I'm on all these calls with prospects, most property management companies we speak to have no goals at all. They're just waiting for the leads to come in. And then they tell us that, yeah, we'll develop the sales systems and the focus, and we'll start to put a focus on growth once we start growing, once we're bigger. But honestly, that's a lot like saying that you're going to start saving once you're already wealthy. I mean, it's the savings that help you become wealthy, and it's the goal setting and the focus on growth that actually will make your property management company grow. So let's talk about how the fastest property management companies in North America are forecasting and managing their growth. Let's welcome our guest, Jennifer Merritt. Thanks for coming, Jen.
Hey, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
Yes. All right. So gave you a tee up. I talked about the importance. I'd love to hear your input on that. But really, what I wanted you to come here is I wanted you to make this tangible for our listeners. I want you to actually walk people through what a forecast looks like and why we create a forecast and how we use it. So please walk us through that.
All right. So, Jeremy, I think the forecasting is such an important part of everything that we do in any business, and it's not any different in property management. And we all know that every property manager forecasts out things like revenue per unit, profit per door, all those different kind of features. So we want to do the same thing in sales. And when we're forecasting in sales, I think most owners probably at least have an idea of how many doors they would like to bring in on a yearly basis. Most of the clients that come to us at least have some understanding of that. However, we think that it's important to break that down even further. So we actually first start by expanding that out into a growth roadmap. We look at their 10-year, if you follow traction, big, hairy, audacious goal, then we break that down into a 5-year, a 3-year, a 1-year, a quarterly, a monthly, and then a weekly activity level. And that's how granular we want to get when we forecast and bring these goals in. So I will gladly share my screen with you guys, and I will show you how we go about doing this with our clients. So the very first thing that I want you guys to understand when we go through this is that we want to take into account the previous year and what you actually did. Most of you know that there's a lot of seasonality in property management in almost every market. The only one that I sometimes hear that there's not seasonality in is Florida. And for some reason, things seem to be built around the school years there, but most other markets have a slow period of December, January, February, ramping up in March and April, busy in May, June, July. August, September, October, and then November slows down just a little bit. So we want to take into account what we did last year, and then we want to take that basis and forecast out this year with our average growth. So that's really where, when we get into the nitty gritty, we start with all of our clients. What are your year's goals? And when we do this, I think the really exciting thing here is we put these numbers in, we get an idea of what it is that they actually want to grow to here at the bottom, and put in a percent growth that they're going to actually achieve. I think the important thing is not just knowing what these numbers are, because what gets measured gets done, but also how are we going to get those doors? So you talked a little bit about that 77% that's at the bottom of our scoreboard that we share with you guys every month. And that comes from all the clients in our community going through this forecasting, and then us comparing how well those BDMs are doing with what they actually said that they were going to do. So when we sit down and we figure all this out, then this breaks out into, and there's a lot of factors that go into this. We actually sit down and we figure out some conversion ratios. If you don't have any or know them, then we want to use some benchmark statistics based on what we see in our community, at least for the time being. But the more and more forecasting that we do, the more accurate it gets. So we fill all of this information out. We fill out doors per client, average cost per lead, annual door value, and it's going to give us this. And it's an incredible breakdown that I want to share with you today. This is a week-by-week activity breakdown that you or your business development manager will have to achieve in order to get your number of doors out the bottom. So what I say is, we all know what we want at the bottom of our funnel, but we don't actually really understand what has to be put into the top of our funnel to get that final number out. And that's what forecasting does for us. So it's pretty exciting, because let's say in week 1 of June, I want to know what what my BDM actually has to do so that we can build out and do time management for our week. Well, in this scenario, if we want 20 new doors, 10 new clients by the end of June, we've got to put in 40 new leads, have 22 discovery calls, and have 13 on-site consultations. So in week 1 of June, I've got to have 10 new leads. If I know that my average lead volume per week is 7, then as a BDM, you should be time blocking outbound prospecting to make up those other 3. Does this all make sense?
It's making a lot of sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So then what we do is we time block out. We know exactly what it is that we have to do to achieve that final goal. And what I think is also really important to us here is that we know what we can expect to spend on advertising. That's a huge question that a lot of people have. And also how much revenue that's going to create. This is every owner's absolute favorite number, revenue created, so that we see, okay, we put $6,000 in advertising spend in. We spend money on our business development manager, and this is how much revenue we're going to create from everything we're doing. And so this is something we go through with every single client.
Okay, so we've got this forecast, which is amazing. There's probably a lot to unpack there that I'll come back to.
Oh yeah, please do.
Staying high level. So if I say, hey, look, I'd like to, grow by 100 doors this year, which I think is more than we hear from most of our clients. Like I said, I'm just hearing this from everybody. They jump on and they're like, yeah, let's just get the leads and let's close the business we can. So it's already a habit change or a behavioral change by doing that. But I go through the time, I work with a coach, I fill out the spreadsheet. How does this show up in my day-to-day business? How do I use this?
Well, it kind of depends on if you're using this as the owner or if you've got a business development manager, but at the end of the day, there's got to be accountability. And so what we always say is that what gets measured gets done, and this has to be visible. It has to be seen. So if you have a business development manager, how it shows up in your business, you should be having a weekly review of your targets. Here at Rent Scale, we do a progress bar. Every single week, our team sits down and we say, hey, these are our goals and this is how far we are to our goal. And we walk through pipeline reviews and what is going to close and what's coming up. And you should be doing the same thing, whether it's a business development manager that is selling on behalf of your company or whether it's you as the owner. But really, you have to have that, like you mentioned early on, that accountability partner for these goals. If you don't have that accountability partner, I know very few people that are disciplined enough to stay true to a forecast. So we've got our own accountability partners, tons of them here at Rent Scale, and we are accountability partners for our clients looking to grow their business.
Okay, got it. So let's get into schedule. Do I look at this forecast once a month? Do I look at it daily? Like how often do I look at it? And how do I make sure that I know that I'm actually making this a key component of my business?
Yeah, so I recommend reviewing your forecast on a quarterly basis. We try not to reforecast our forecasted goals that we laid out at the beginning of a year. But, there are business conditions that sometimes you do have to shift. So you want to look at this and make any adjustments strategically on a quarterly basis. Then I would expect that on a monthly basis, you are looking at the entire month, what you did the prior month, and then what you're doing next month. But on a weekly basis, I would actually be pulling up some version of this forecast, whether it is that actual spreadsheet I just showed you or whether it's a progress bar. But I would say that you should be looking at that weekly, and that should help your business development manager build out their daily schedule. So if you really think about the activities, technically you are looking at this and focusing on it on a daily basis.
So one of the things that I've really learned from this kind of behavioral change or this rhythm is it's really easy to get off track if you're checking in once a quarter or once a month. But it's a lot harder to get off track if you're checking in at the end of every single day or every single week. And that's what I think you're kind of explaining, right, Jen, is that forecast says, okay, we kicked off the quarter, it's Q2. By the second week of May or the third week of May that we're in here, you actually have a goal for the third week of May. And that creates a certain level of tangibleness or reality. Whereas I think that a lot of us business owners who are optimists, we're just like, well, I've got 90 days to close 20 doors. And so I think that we somehow kind of delude ourselves into thinking that all like 18 of the 20 doors are just going to come in the last week of the month, right? But, if you don't mind sharing that again and just kind of walking through how you're breaking down these big goals into bite-sized chunks that people can manage on a daily or weekly basis. Do you mind showing that again and just kind of recapping that?
I would be happy to. Give me just 1 second and I will show that one more time and breaking it down. Can you see that okay?
Yep.
Great. So what I like, if we're going back through this and we're breaking it down into more of a daily target, and you know that you want to get your 20 doors out the bottom of the funnel for the month of, let's just say this is June, we know that we're going to need 10 new clients to do that. In this example, it's somebody who signs an average of 2 doors per client. Okay. So we know that if we have all of our numbers in here correctly and we're tracking this, we need to be spending call it $900 on advertising, and we need to put 40 new leads into the funnel. If you break this down on a weekly activity basis, we know that we've got to have 10 new leads coming in every single week of the month, right? Then we know that we also have to have 6 discovery calls, 3 on-site consultations, and 3 new clients. So to kind of speak back to what you were talking about on a daily activity, I would say that on average, I know that we get 6 leads per week. Okay. So if I get 6 inbound leads per week, that means as an owner or a business development manager, whoever's responsible for selling, I've got to bring in at least 1 good lead per week. But I also know that if I target 4 people, those aren't all going to be leads. So we also have to pay attention to the fact that the activities that we do on a daily basis have to reflect the targets that we want to get to. So you also need to know if you target 10 people, usually you get 2 leads out of your outbound activities, and you need to focus in on that. And what that does is says, okay, if I need a new lead a day, I've got to have a plan for that. And that's when time management kicks in.
Super helpful. And it also helps us understand as an organization, as a team, we're off track, we're on track, right? And so you talked about the progress bar. So anybody watching this that uses Lead Simple, as you guys know, most of the industry does. We love it. We think it's the best CRM for property managers. Lead Simple actually built a progress tool in your reports that mimics this calculator that we use. So 4.5 years ago at a PM Grow Summit, I sat down with Zach and Chris from Lead Simple, and I showed them this, and I said, this is what we're doing. And I said, how can we track this so that it's visual in Lead Simple? And they said, this is amazing. And they went out there and they created the sales management tool. So if you go into reports, is it called sales management tool? Jen, do you remember exactly what it's called? It's one of like 6 reports.
So it's under the, I can actually try to bring it up here, but it is underneath the sales reports. And then it's under the forecasting tool. And I'll see if I can bring it up while you chat a little bit about it.
Yeah, perfect. So there is a tool in the CRM that's actually going to visualize this for you. So Jen talked about making this data visual. We're big believers in that. We do that here at RenScale. We want everybody to know, look, we got 90 days. It is a sprint. It is a quarter. We got to get it done. And then you break those 90 days into 30-day months, and then you break those into weeks. And so we're always looking like, where do we need to be on track now? The Lead Simple team definitely agrees with this. You have amazing tools in your CRM, and it's built based on this forecasting tool that we use. So just want to make it like, I can't drive this home enough that it's one thing to actually spend the time creating the forecast, which is immensely helpful. As we talked about with the numbers before, like people who actually have goals are more likely to achieve them. But when you actually check in and you put a weekly meeting on the calendar and a monthly meeting, and you guys are deciding like, we're behind, we're ahead, like what do we do? It is that combination of setting the goals and then actually checking in the goals, which as I say it, it sounds so ridiculously simple, but I'm just telling you, we're not seeing anybody do it, and we know it works. And so this is Miracle Grow that you can just sprinkle on your company if you guys actually do this, and you can actually hold yourself accountable. So Jen, did you find the report?
I did. It's actually called the Closed Business Report. So it is under reports, it's under sales reports, and they've got a couple different ones that are very helpful in here. And you can actually upload your forecast. We put it into that spreadsheet, but you can actually upload it straight to Lead Simple, and it's incredibly helpful. So let me see if I can share my screen, because I would love to show you guys what this looks like.
Yeah.
2 seconds.
I remember being very visual. I thought it was on the closed business report, but I'll trust you on this because I haven't looked at it in a while.
So there's a closed business report and there's a company trends report. So if you like seeing it in a bar graph type visual, then that's going to be under the company trends. And then closed business report is where you're going to see it in more of a, almost like a spreadsheet, but a visual column type sheet.
Perfect. So yeah, this is something that you guys can then involve in your business in a way where, just like a dashboard you have, and you're like, how long are we taking to get back on maintenance requests? How long is it taking us to actually place a tenant in our properties? What are our vacancy rates? We all know that we love data and we love to run our company based on that data. Jen and I are basically saying you should also be running your company growth on that exact same data. And Lead Simple is going to help you make that super visual and valuable. So Jen, just kind of as we wrap up, and by the way, guys, we're going to tell you how, we'd be happy for you guys to reach out. This is a tool that we built. It's not rocket science, but it has been refined over 5 years of experience and hundreds of iterations. We're happy to get one of our consultants on a call with you at RentScale and walk you through this, because we believe that it changes behavior. It's a new habit that we want for your company. And we want you guys to stop just kind of waiting around for leads to call you. We want you to actually figure out if I'm on track or off track and take proactive ownership over your business development, something we're very passionate about. But Jen, I mean, you and the other coaches are walking 100 clients through this every year. Is there anything you want to share in addition to, what I'm passionately riffing on, where it's changed the way that people looked at their company or their behaviors? Is there any stories or anything you want to share kind of about how people are using this, or how it changes a business philosophy once they have a tool like this?
Yeah, so I think, we shared a little bit about what you do on a monthly basis, because I really wanted to get into the weeds with you guys and focus on daily activities. And I think that that's important. Like, we need to make sure that we are focused on those daily activities. However, I think we need to step back and look at the bigger picture too. That's an important part of this. So as you step back and think about your 10-year goals and what you're driving to, that helps us understand where we want to go. And then we start breaking it down. So even though today what I shared with you was our annual, and then our monthly, and then our quarterly, and then our weekly, and then our daily goals and activities, I really recommend that clients start out with their big, hairy, audacious goal, or wherever it is that they see it going. So if you want to have 4,000 doors by 2026, great. Plug that into there and work backwards from that. Think about what it really takes to get there. And as a business owner, having that strategic direction for your entire team is so important, not just to actually achieve your goals, but I think to retain employees and build culture. And I think a solid forecast actually does that. It paints a vision of the future and gets everybody bought into what it is that you're trying to travel towards. And so I want to encourage everybody here, and I get really excited about thinking through a higher level picture of what that's going to require and thinking deeper into business strategy. So not only would I encourage you to do it on an annual basis, but zoom out as well and spend some time really thinking about where you want to go in 10 years, in 5 years, in 3 years, then break it down to 1 year. And each of those steps should really have different levels of achievement and people that are going to help you get there underneath it. When I think about our clients and the ones that really go through this and take the most out of it and actually achieve their forecasted goals, I do think about a client who came in to our engagement with us, and they were so wonderful, but they didn't know a whole lot about forecasting. In fact, they really didn't set many goals to begin with at all. And that person came in and I was like, hey, what's your 10-year goal? And they're like, 10-year, I'm just trying to put one foot in front of the other. And I said, okay, that's great, but let's sit down and talk about this. So over the course of a couple meetings, we were actually able to paint a vision for the company. They shared this in their team meeting, and that team then came up with all sorts of ideas and expanded on everything they were doing to get behind this vision and this forecast and this planning. And I think that's what's really neat about forecasting. Not only does it help you get granular, but it also helps you zoom out. And we have so many clients that that's the case.
That's amazing. Guys, if you guys are watching live, I see some people on here. Feel free to drop in comments. Jen, you won't be surprised. First question from viewers is, where do I get these leads from? So everybody
Boy, leads are always such a hot button topic. Yeah, man, there's leads coming in from everywhere, you guys. I mean, we've got clients who here at RentScale, what we do is we do the theory of all bound. So that's inbound. You need inbound leads, you need outbound leads, you need next bound leads. So inbound leads come from things like direct mail and PPC and Google retargeting and YouTube and SEO, like word of mouth. Like that's, well, word of mouth, I guess, is referral, but that's all inbound. You think about outbound leads, and those are things like calling for rent by owners and talking to people who have stale real estate listings that have been sitting on the market forever. To me, that's networking on bigger pockets with investors. Now, the investor lead that you were talking about earlier, that's more of an inbound, but that's another lead source. Then we think about nextbound, and that's networking with who your next customer is. So that's 1031 exchange agents and referrals from realtors and asset managers and real estate attorneys and lenders who are focused on investment properties. And so there's so many different places that you can get these leads. It's unreal. So when you're thinking about leads, you just have to figure out which method you want to tackle, because it's impossible to hit them all. And that's kind of part of what we do in our Scale Club community as well. We sit down with an outbound plan and we figure out what you're best suited to do. And then we, again, forecast and set goals and metrics around what it is you want to achieve and how you're going to get there.
Wonderful. I think it's a great place to leave it. I will say, for anybody listening, Jen, myself, other consultants on the RentScale team, we love walking a property management company through this process. So reach out if you just say, hey, look, what would this look like for me? And how can I, get on the same page with this idea and the strategy? Just send an email to biz@rentscale.com, B-I-Z. I'll drop that in the notes and we'll share that again. But reach out. We'll walk you through this. We'll challenge you. It's good to have a partner to say, okay, you're living in fairy tale land and you've never closed more than 6 stores in a month in your entire career. And now you're trying to close an average of 50. We're going to challenge you on that. We're going to look at the data. We're going to talk about what happens there. It's a big part of the tool. Jen, is there anything I didn't ask or any parting shots you want to leave everybody with?
I guess the very last thing I would say is forecasting is super important, but it really doesn't do a whole lot of good if you don't have someone holding you accountable for that. It was really interesting because I was on the mastermind group today, or the mastery group today. And one of the BDMs came on and said, hey, I'm having a really hard time hitting my forecasted goals. And I said, hey, we need to be even bigger accountability partners for you. So you've got to have somebody post it out there, put it out there so that it's something you actually have to hit. But having that accountability partner is such an important part of this forecasting and these goals.
Great. I want to add to that because we've seen it. I mean, I've been a business owner a long time. The hardest thing about this is the counterintuitiveness is like, you're going to really, really suck with your first forecast. Even if we work with you, like even if you hire us and we help you, like it's the first time you're doing it. It's a lot like the first time you go out and you try to run or do anything that takes any skill. But it's so important that if you stick with it over, let's call it 4, 5, 6 quarters, right? I know we're talking about a year and a half, but your business is going to become so much more sophisticated. And you're going to start, we do it, right, Jen? In our quarterly meetings, we're just like, hey, I think you guys you're just like, that's pixie dust. Like, there's no way we're going to hit that number without a plan. Like, if we're really going to grow that much over anything we've done before, something has to materially change here. So I just want to encourage anybody that's watching this to realize that it's not an immediate gratification by setting forecast and following through with them. But over time, you are developing what I think is one of the most sophisticated skill sets that would make you an actual CEO of a business, right? CEOs are based on predictability and setting goals and hitting goals and increasing goals. This is really, really high-end stuff that isn't hard to just start with. And so you may totally suck your first quarter and you may suck a little less your second quarter. And then you'll start to like, okay, I'm starting to get the hang of this around the third or the fourth quarter. But starting now is going to put you on a track to becoming super sophisticated with this. So that's kind of my parting shot on what happens here. So Jen, thank you for coming. Really appreciate it. Thanks for walking us through this.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll get some people that will reach out and have you walk them through their next forecast.
Yeah, I'm happy to walk anybody through who needs a little bit of guidance and help just kind of getting started with this. And yep, they get refined again and again, and we get better and better as we go. So you may reach out to me at any time if there's anything we can help with when it comes to sales forecasting.
Help me with my transition here. Where are you going to be next week?
Next week, we are going to IMN. I'm so excited about this, headed down to Miami, which I love Florida, but I am more excited to sit in this conference inside, which is weird, but really excited for that IMN single family conference. We'll be there Monday through Thursday, and hopefully we'll have some big key takeaways and learn a lot.
I'll tell you guys all about that when we come back. Next up is our calendar segment. Jen, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. Guys, we're just going to hear a quick word from our sponsor, and then I'll be back with our calendar.
This episode is brought to you by Strategic PM, the magazine for property management entrepreneurs and executives. If you go online to strategicpm.com today, you're going to find an entire website full of content written about your industry and by your peers. And it's completely free to sign up. Just go ahead and click on the create a free account right in the upper right-hand corner. When you click on that, not only can you create a digital account, but you can actually add your mailing address and we will send you a free 1-year subscription of the print magazine, which will be showing up in your offices every single quarter. So if you take a look inside the magazine, what you're gonna see is that we are focused on growth. We've got 5 pillars of Strategic PM: vision, strategy, culture, marketing, and experience. You're gonna be seeing some great high-class content from some of the best thought leaders in the industry talking about the matters that matter the most to your business. So sign up for free today at strategicpm.com and look for the magazine in your office.
All right, let's jump into the calendar. Jen told you, gave you the preview. Next week, both Jen and I will be at the IMN Single Family Forum. Obviously, it's next week. It's May 20th to 22nd in Miami. I know a ton of our clients are going, a ton of the vendors from the NARPM community are going as well. This will be my first IMN event. I'm pretty excited about it. Just want to be a wallflower and listen in to all of these conversations and hear what the conversation is as people grow their rental real estate portfolios, especially in the market that we're in today. Next up, August 27th to 29th. I know August sounds crazy because we're only in May, but that's our next big one. The NARPM Southern States Conference is partnering with Florida. And so as you guys may have or may not have known, there's always been a Southern States Conference and a Florida State Conference. They're putting it together. Spoiler alert, Jen and I will be speaking there and presenting some really cool information for you guys, which I'm really excited about. Guys, tell me what other events I'm missing. I go through the big calendar events, but I know there's a lot of vendors and a lot of other people doing other great webinars and other events. Feel free to chat in and let me know what we're missing. I want to make sure that we're sharing this with everybody there. Appreciate you guys being here. That's it for this week. Check out all the latest going on in property management and get details and show notes about today's show and guest. Just head over to strategicpm.com, strategicpm.com. Please email our team at biz@rentscale.com if you want to know more about the bigger pockets deal that we talked about, or if you want to discuss a complimentary forecast for your company, like Jen mentioned. But most importantly, please like, subscribe, and share the show. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn, we are on X. You know where to find us. We do all this for you guys. And join us again in 2 weeks. And that's what's happening this week in PM.